Okay. Hi, I'm Tina Hill. I am half of Ladies of the Lanai. Christine is still out on assignment. um, I am here with Scott Casta.
Yes.
I'll let you introduce yourself.
Okay. So I'm Scott. I'm a paramedic. Been a paramedic for 30 years. I've also been a firefighter in a previous life, 20 years. And today I think she brought me out here to talk about some safety things and things maybe people don't know what to do in an emergency, and maybe give you some tips and tricks of maybe that might help you and maybe be useful during an emergency based on my experiences and you know
Right.
my 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 experiences recently and
Right.
my
And
lifetime experience.
and
So
helpful things as we're all getting older and living in a retirement community, and
yeah.
some things that you've witnessed here, but things that can be really helpful that you may or may not be aware of and think of. But one of them we'll start with is the smart technology.
Right. So everybody nowadays, I mean, everybody has a smartphone. I mean, everybody's got one of these. They're always on it. You see them everywhere. Um, but this is so much more than just a phone and for Facebook and things like that. A lot your Apple Watch, your Samsung phone, watch, whatever, they are all set up now to where if for some reason, God forbid, you fell in your house
Hmm.
and you couldn't get up or you couldn't
I've
reach your
fallen and
phone,
I can't get up.
basically, that used to be a big thing years ago. I've fallen and I can't get up, and that was the push the button kind of thing. But everybody has these phones, and they do so much more than just work as a phone. They could really truly be a lifeline in an emergency.
So how would I use my smartphone
So
if I've fallen?
you have to kind of set it up. You have to have. I'll use my Apple phone for an example. You have to be able to have the Siri um,
Enabled?
enabled, because she's ultimately going to be the one, or he, however you have it set up, to call for you. And basically, you tell her, call 911. And the 911 systems now, the smart 911 systems, um, they basically go off of a lot of the cell towers. 9 out of 10 of the phones, when you set them up, you have to put your address and your location, and they can actually get the information right from your phone as to where you are.
Hmm.
So if you're
Come
a
here.
little bit away from your phone, you can tell it, hey, call for help. And even if they can't hear you, the operator on the other end is going to probably send somebody to your home.
So if I'm, say, in my bedroom and my phone or whatever's in the kitchen,
Mhm.
I do have what's the little Apple, the ball thing,
Like a home,
or not
like
Apple, it's a Siri thing. Yeah, the home thing. But it'll know if I just have my phone and not the ball,
mhm.
and you say, whichever command you give it, call
Right,
911.
right.
Do I have to like yell it and it'll do it even though my
So
phone is not near me?
I mean, depending on how it's set up, I mean, usually people don't have their phones too far. I mean, if you're in your house and it's enclosed and you're in the living room, you fall in the living room and your phone is in the bedroom, if you yell to it, it's going to hear you and it's going to do it.
Okay.
Um, that's one of the nice things about it. The other thing I want to say is, even if you have a smartphone and it's not connected currently to a service provider, AT&T, Sprint, whatever, you can still use it to call 911. So even if you have a deactivated cell phone, it is still able to call 911 for you. Um, so because I ran into that scenario not too long ago, I said, "Do you have a smartphone?" And this person had been laying on the ground for 3 days,
Oof.
and yeah, their neighbors, thank God for neighbors, they came and checked on them because they didn't put their trash out.
Mm.
Oh, something's not wrong. Bob didn't put his trash out. Let's go check on him. Well, Bob was on the floor for 3 days.
Oh,
So, and Bob didn't realize that had he just yelled to his phone, he could have gotten help 3 days ago.
yeah.
So, um, so I think that a lot of that technology. The other thing too is everybody now has a smart home, so to speak. everybody's got an Alexa or a Google Home or whatever.
Right.
Those devices also can be set up to call for help. I have it set up for me with, my mom is 80 and she lives at home by herself. And if God forbid she falls and she can't, she can say, Alexa, call for help. And I have it set up that it calls me first, and it actually, you can listen in to, what's going on, and that's another means of calling for help. Or you could tell Alexa, call 911, and she will.
Okay.
So that's just part of it. There's so much more. Your Apple Watch can tell if you fell, if your phone can tell if you've been in a car accident by just how forceful, if you drop it, and there's so many things that the technology nowadays is so far advanced, and people don't know how to use it properly to keep themselves safe. And that's what the whole kind of point of this is to kind of let people know that this is not just a cell phone and a means of entertainment for Facebook and Instagram and things like that. It can help you, and it can save your life in an emergency if you know how to use it properly.
Okay.
So
outside of that, if I hadn't fallen, but I just need to call, what are some of besides 911, what emergency numbers would you suggest that I have written like on my refrigerator or something?
So 911 is a catch-all. You have an emergency, you think your house is on fire, you need an ambulance, you need the police, you dial 911. This area of Sumter County, Lake County, and Marion County all have smart 911, meaning that when you pick up the phone and you dial 911, it comes up with your name and your address right on the screen, and there's no such thing as call blocking either. So they have your phone number. So even if you're in a bad situation and you're trying to get to the police and you dial 911, and if someone is telling you hang up the phone, they're going to call you back. And if you don't answer, they're going to send somebody to your house to check on you, because that's what they call a 911 hang up. And were you trying to call for help? Were you not trying to call for help? Sometimes those systems that they have in place will definitely help in that type of an emergency. Okay. God forbid you were being forced against your will in some way, shape, or form.
Okay. Can we talk about? Come over here. Someone's being a bad doggy. Come here. Come over here.
They want some attention.
Sam, come here.
Come on. No way, lady.
All right. I need to. Can we talk about you mentioned having a lockbox?
Okay.
And then there's also a Knox box, which a firefighter happened to tell me about. But so how would you use a lockbox?
So what you would do is you would get a lockbox, and they're all over the place. You can find them at Home Depot, Lowe's. You can buy them on Amazon. It's basically just a key vault that you basically put a key to the front door of your house in, and you set a code for it. A lot of realtors use them for when they're showing homes and that kind of stuff.
Right.
So basically what you would do is you would get this thing and you would put it on your house or put it outside or wherever, and it's secure. You're going to call, there's a non-emergent number for all the agencies in the area. Marion County, Sumter County, Lake County, they all have a non-emergent number that you can look up and call. And basically what you'll do is you'll tell them, hey, I live at such and such an address. I want you to put something in. I bought a lockbox in case I can't get to the door. This is what the code is. You can also do this, like a lot of people have coded garage door openers.
Right.
So you can call the 911 agency and say, hey, again, call the non-emergent number and say, hey, the garage door code is 1234. So if God forbid, again, you fell or you're incapacitated in some way, shape, or form in your house, and you can't get to the door to unlock it and open it, the fire department or the EMS department that's responding to you has that code. They'll give it to us in the computer, and it'll say lockbox code or garage code, and you just it gives us a means of entry into your house to check on you and to get to you.
The other
With
thing is, so they wouldn't have to like
right, so
knock your door
the
down
flip side of
to.
that is if you don't have something like that set up, we will have to force entry into your house to get to you, and that can be a little bit costly because either we're gonna try and force through a window or force through a door, and a
Right.
lot of times it could be an expensive thing
Okay.
where a $50 lockbox and a key could have prevented that. So
So you get it, but you just have to make sure you register whatever the code is
yeah,
with the.
you just have to call the non-emergent number with the county that you live in, and they will put that information into your address so that if God forbid you call 911, um, they'll have that information to
And
give to us.
what is a Knox box?
So a Knox is a proprietary brand.
And it's KNOX.
Right, KNOX. So most of the agencies have what's called a Knox box key. It's a key that is keyed alike, and it's the same kind of thing as a key box vault.
Mhm.
What you do is you get the Knox box, you put it on your house, usually on the front door by the garage, and we have a key in the fire apparatus or in the ambulance that we have to have a code for it. We all get issued a code. So it's not like it's just hanging around, loosey goosey in the fire truck or in the ambulance or something. Our agency gives us a specific code to unlock our Knox box key to use at your home. And basically, it's just a key that you open. There's a key box, your front door key, and then we get into your house. So it's just another type of key box that is you don't have to you don't the difference is that then you don't have to call 911 or call the dispatch center and give them a code.
Right. A fireman had mentioned it to me because he said, otherwise, especially in a case of a fire, they're going to knock your door down.
Yeah, I mean,
But he said, and I looked at it online, but you come over here. Have a reluctant guest. He said because you have to like register it when you first come over here.
he's chewing on a piece of the ball.
Come here, Sam. I'll cut that part out. Come over here.
Yeah, I just don't want him to swallow it.
Drop it. Drop it. It always takes a cookie. You want a cookie?
Nope.
Come here. Give it to me. Okay, but with the Knox box, you order it
right
through online, and it has to be approved by the local fire department or some agency.
I would be wrong for saying I know exactly how that is, but I'm sure online, if you wanted to order a Knox box, that it have all of the information.
Because I had looked at it.
Okay.
But let's move on to like what you should have in your home. So if emergency personnel come, like your medications and things like that.
So, I mean, if we get to your house and it's a medical emergency, I mean, obviously we're going to need a list of your medicines. We're going to need to know what kind of medical history you have, surgeries, that kind of stuff. It's always good to have a list. I know you printed out. There's a thing called Vial of Life,
right?
That a lot of people.
This is.
So you can go to vialoflife.net, I think it is. It's on the top here, vialoflife.com, and you can get this form. It's free of charge. It's basically just, it tells you your name, your address, your, it has a lot of
birth,
date of birth,
type.
and it just lists.
It even asks your religion, so I guess if there's something in your religion.
Yes, because there are certain religions that won't accept blood products. So if, God forbid, you are in an emergency and you can't speak for yourself, at least this will say, hey,
right,
they're this type of religion and they don't want blood products, and that's a big thing. But that just breaks it down really, really well. I mean, if you just take a sheet of paper, put your name, your date of birth, and what medicines you're currently taking, what medical history you have, And you can even write on their emergency contacts so that if you can't talk, at least we have an emergency contact so that we can contact your family.
Right. And would you keep that on your refrigerator?
That's not a bad place for it because we're gonna look in the kitchen. If you can't speak or you can't tell us where that stuff is, we're gonna look in your kitchen. We're gonna look in your bathroom to find medications, and that's gonna different types of medications are gonna give us clues as to what type of medical problems you have. Because if you're on a Atenolol, we know you have either AFib or have some type of blood pressure problem. So it'll just kind of lead us down that road of what kind of medical problems may be causing what's going on today that you're
So
not
make sure
speaking
you
to
have
us.
it somewhere, either in your bathroom.
Yeah, either the bathroom or
the
the kitchen. Stuck to the refrigerator is always a good thing. Again, we'll see it. It's it's pretty obvious. You can, and the other thing is if you don't want your friends when they come over, you could always turn it around and just stick it on the refrigerator that way.
Oh, you're taking such
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, you know, it is definitely a good thing to have. We always ask for that information, and if we have a list that we can get that stuff from, it's so much easier than having to try and get it out of you and or find your medication bottles and stuff to do that with.
What about like the free programs for smoke detectors and fire alarm?
So not all counties do this. I do know that I'll talk about the Villages for a second. The Villages has a program. If you call the main firehouse on Morse Boulevard, south of 466A, there is a battery changing program that they do for smoke detectors. Basically, they don't want people that are unsteady on their feet climbing up on a ladder to change a battery out of a smoke detector. So this is a free service. You call the firehouse, they will get
Will
you
they
on their
send me a
list.
fireman?
So it depends on the day, type of day.
I think I need my batteries changed.
Yeah, I think
Can I call?
you can fall and say you can't get up, and the fireman will come and lift you up off the ground. No, don't do that. Please don't do that. Don't do it for kicks. But if you
No,
fall,
not for kicks. Just if I want a fireman to go. No.
yeah, listen, I wouldn't put it past some people. But yeah, it's a free service. The caveat to that is if they're gonna ask you if you have brand new batteries. If you recently purchased the batteries, they're not gonna put old batteries that that you had laying around in your house. They're gonna want you to have brand new batteries, and they'll ask you how many smoke detectors and make sure that you have the right amount of batteries for the right amount of smoke detectors.
That's
And
smart.
they can even change out the smoke detectors, I believe. You just have to buy the smoke detector.
Okay.
So, but they will come and they will
But
do
that's
it
good
safe.
for people who are afraid to go
Right,
up on the
right.
ladder.
And,
like
and that's the thing. We're
unsteady.
talking about folks that are retired that may be getting up there in age that shouldn't be on a ladder. Someone you climb up on a ladder, a couple of feet, and God forbid you lose your balance and fall. You're, we joke around, in this business, it's all fun and games until you break your hip. And unfortunately, that is the truth. You don't want to have to deal with a broken hip and then add into it all your other medical problems.
Right.
That could be a life-ending thing for some people. So that's just another way of keeping people safe and keeping them from kind of hurting themselves if not needed.
And living in the Villages, because it's a golf cart community, um, a lot of people use their golf cart. What about seatbelts? Like, I know mine has it, but I tend to not
Okay.
use them.
So my personal opinion, I think seatbelts should be used in any vehicle you have. I mean, barring a bicycle, motorcycle, whatever. You're assuming a risk at that point. You're taking a ride on your bike or whatever. But a golf cart, it is considered a low speed vehicle. But I mean,
Oh, I've seen people on the ground. Like you go by.
yeah, I mean,
You
people
get
don't
knocked out.
realize just the kind of injuries. Everybody thinks it's pretty, safe, and it is. It is a great way of getting around the Villages. It's a great way of, saving fuel and all this other kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
However, you got to be smart about it and be safe about it. You take a turn too fast, and someone can go flying out the side of the golf cart, and you have a couple of different medical problems, and you bump your head, God forbid. now you're a trauma alert. Now we're dragging you up to Ocala to the trauma hospital up there, and they're CAT scanning you from head to toe and stuff. So I think seatbelts would definitely help, because the some of the golf cart accidents that we've seen and had is people get into the accident and they're either thrown from the golf cart, which is a dangerous thing. The probability of your injuries going up is 10 times greater if you get ejected from the golf cart. So I personally, if you don't have seatbelts in your golf cart, you should invest in that. It's a minimal cost, and get them done and use them, because it will definitely save you in an accident, from definitely getting more hurt than you probably should.
Right.
So.
And along that line, so if you like witness an accident, whether it's a golf cart or in your car,
Right.
or someone on a bicycle,
right,
and I'm driving by and I see someone lying on the ground, like, what
Right.
should I do? Should
So,
I try to help?
I mean,
just call 911?
Call 911. You don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're creating more of I don't want to say a traffic problem, because we have the multimodal paths, and there's really no good place for you to kind of stop and go over and help somebody. If you see it, you want to, if you think somebody needs help, call 911, give them the best location that you can, cross street kind of thing, where they are, if you see what they're wearing, give them a description of what the person was wearing. That'll always help. I mean, again, you could always stop and help. It's completely up to you. I mean, people stop and help all the time, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Sometimes people are there generally to help, but sometimes
stay
people
out of the way.
But sometimes people do get in the way. And what I would say is, once the first responders show up, I joke around and say the emergency's over once we, the first responders, show up on scene, because we're the ones you called.
Right.
So once the first responders are there, kind of let them do their job, and just, if you want to stick around and give some information to the police department or whatever, or contact information, that's great. But again, it's not needed. So
the most important thing is, when you call 911, give good directions.
Give a good location. If you can give a description of what the person was wearing, if they were involved with another vehicle, what the colors of the vehicles are, and just the other part of it too is, you can always call 911 and report something. If we come out and it's not there, all right, somebody made a good attempt at doing something good for somebody.
And then what if you're on the road in your car and there's emergency vehicles coming up and down?
Okay.
What should you?
So
I'll say I grew up in Indiana. I don't know if this is old school, but we always pulled over to the side.
Okay.
Like, I didn't just slow down. I pull over.
So yes. So what to do if an emergency vehicle is behind you? Okay. The ideal thing is to move to the right, not to the left. Move to the right.
Yeah.
Move as far right as you can, because the emergency vehicle is going to try and go to the left. And the way you can kind of think about that is, on the highway, you always try and pass on the left, not on the right. So move to the right, get out of the way, and let the emergency vehicle have a means of getting past you on the left-hand side. We have a lot of people that, I don't know if it's panic or whatever, but they stop.
Oh.
And it's like, now the people that did pull over to the right, now you're stopped right next to them, and now we can't go anywhere. And that just kind of hinders our response to emergencies and stuff. So, good rule of thumb. I know everybody, people here have been driving for a lot of years. Just remember, pull to the right. Get out of the way, pull to the right, and pull over and stop. That's the other part too. Don't keep driving on the right-hand side of the road, because sometimes we'll need to make a right, and you're kind of keeping pace with the truck.
Right.
And that's not good either.
I would say the other thing we used to, this was growing up way back when, in Indiana too, in a small town, and you don't see this anymore, but if there was a funeral procession, if you saw the hearse going down, everybody would pull over to the side.
Yeah, that I don't know about. That's a little bit out of my wheelhouse of things. I usually try and get there and try to help people before they need the funeral.
Okay. What about, so we'll go to a lighter subject. What
Okay.
about, because I just got a gas grill.
Okay.
What about like safety tips for that and propane tanks? I'm always afraid like it is the propane. I haven't even used it yet, but
Hmm.
because I don't know how to. I need someone to show. But like, what if I'm
So,
afraid? Like, do I turn the Did I turn it off? Did I
right.
turn the
I mean,
grill?
it's like anything else. If it can't come out of the tank, it's not going to cause any problems. So you always, while you're using it, just crack the thing. You don't have to open it all the way. Just crack it enough so that if God forbid something happened and you needed to shut it off right away, it's a
Yeah.
quick turn. Not, oh my God, I keep turning and it's not turning off.
Right.
Um, but yeah, if you're not using that appliance, definitely turn it off. Um, Propane tanks can, in some instances, right after they're filled, if they get too hot, they do have relief valves in them and you can hear them hissing sometimes.
Mm.
That's just usually because the pressure is too much in the tank.
Should I keep it outside in the summer?
It should be outside. I mean, you don't want to really keep it in the house.
Well, just mean it's so hot.
Right. Well, try and keep it in the shade. Use most barbecues, you can keep it under it. I mean, those things are so safe.
Okay.
They really are. I mean, there's very few instances where, you know, those things have had major problems with them. And basically, like I said, once it's turned off, it's usually off and it's not going to cause a problem.
Okay. What
So,
about dryer vents? Like, I'm coming
yeah.
up on being here a year and a half, and I'm wondering, do I need to have? You see all these ads for
Yeah.
people having their dryer vents cleaned.
Let's just say it couldn't hurt. I
Okay.
mean, it's not a bad thing. It's definitely a good thing. I mean, any time you're dealing with something that may cause a fire, you definitely want to have that serviced. You know, your smoke detectors you want to have serviced. And by service I mean the batteries change, that kind of stuff. Lint is happens in when you do your laundry.
But
And
I say
unfortunately,
this as I'm probably one of the very, very few, but I grew up in a house, but I lived in New York City in an apartment building for 35 years. So my laundry was not in my apartment.
right.
I never
Right.
like,
But the owner of the building or whatever that
well,
you
they knew to
probably
clean it,
knew to
but
clean
I'm
it.
just saying
So
I don't know.
yeah. I mean, there are plenty of services out there that'll come to your house and it's a minimal charge and it's definitely peace of mind. I mean,
Okay.
get it done every year, probably once a year. They may recommend every 6 months. I don't know, but it's definitely not a bad thing because the lint and the heat can definitely cause an issue and it'll also make the dryer work better
More
too,
efficiently.
so it'll make it more efficient if it has a clean means of egress for the exhaust to come out.
Um, what about safety tips at the squares? We all go out. Um,
So what I will say about the squares is remember where you park your car or your golf cart, because we've had several times where people have been walking around kind of, and I can't find my golf cart or I can't find my car and this and that. Well, where did you come from? I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. So,
That's happened to me, but not at a square. It was at a Home Goods parking lot. And I called my friend to tell her I can't find my car.
yeah. So here's the other thing. If you use the maps on your phone, you can actually press and hold when you get out of your car on the map, and it'll drop a pin, and
Oh,
that'll actually set a marker. So
or
a
take
lot
a
of
picture.
yeah, you take a picture of where you are. That's not a bad idea. But most of the phones will know when you're driving and when you stop, and it'll actually tell you where you parked your car. So there was somebody not too long ago that said they couldn't find their car, and I said, "Well, let me see your phone." I said, "Do you have a smartphone?" She said, "Yeah." I pulled it up, opened up her map, and it said parked car. I said, "Your car's over there." So I mean, there's those kinds of things that you can do. The other thing I'll tell you is if you can't find your car in a parking lot, all the remotes on the cars, they have a panic button.
But I'm too embarrassed to use that.
So, you know what? Here's what I'm going to tell you. So, if you're not around your car, take it and press the button and let it set the alarm off. As soon as you're done, hit it again. And at least you know, okay, there's my car. So, it's a means of finding your car. I know that
Okay.
you don't want to do that and make the horn go off, but it'll definitely help you find your car in a location if you don't remember. That's
Okay.
that's something. Definitely keep your car locked, keep your valuables. Obviously, that's all common sense kind of stuff. And just try and remember where you parked your car, where you parked your golf cart, and be smart about it. If maybe you've had too much to drink, maybe it's not an idea to get behind the wheel.
Yeah.
Call an
Call
Uber and
Uber.
that kind of stuff. Don't get
That's what I was gonna
definitely.
say. If you do have that, is there a number to call, or really just Uber
Yeah,
or a friend?
there's a company here in the Villages. I believe it's called Kim's Cab. She's got a company that's pretty reliable and stuff. Um, to use for taxi service and stuff. And everybody's got a neighbor, a friend. If you call somebody and say, "Hey, I think I've had too much to drink," even if it's 3 o'clock in the morning, I really don't see somebody going, "Well, that's your problem," and hanging
Right.
up on you. They're not going to want you to drive drunk and hurt yourself or hurt
I
somebody
would come
else.
pick you up if you
I see.
called.
That's what I'm saying. It's like have some friends that people talk about your ride and die. Oh, they're my ride and die. If I need somebody, I'm calling you. But again, if somebody called me at 3 o'clock in the morning and said, "You know what, I think I've had too much and I shouldn't be drinking or driving," I'd probably be like, "All right, I'm on the way." Kind
The
of
other
help
thing I
them.
say with location services, I also have an air tag on my dog's collar.
Right. See, that's another good thing. You can put an air tag in your golf cart, and that way you
Oh,
can
I
kind
did
of
that
see
too. I forgot. You reminded me. I did that too.
to help you find where things are and
Yeah,
stuff. And your car. I mean, you
and it
probably put one
works.
in the car too. Yeah, it does work. It definitely, all this technology that we have, and we forget sometimes that we have it, but it's definitely something you can use.
Right. So in the Villages, we have community watch. Then there's also a sheriff department, and there's also a police department.
So the sheriff's department is the police department.
Oh, but they
Community.
have different cars.
Well, so Wildwood Police here in Sumter County covers the areas of Wildwood. Then there's the sheriff's department that kind of oversees all of that.
Oh,
So
so the
it's
sheriff trumps the police?
not, it's not that they trump them. It's the same. It's like the same
Because I don't
organization,
understand how that
same
organization chart
same
works.
organization, different divisions. You
Mm,
know what I mean? It's just it's a like the Wildwood Police Department um, covers the majority. The main area that they service is Wildwood. They're still Sumter County sheriffs or Sumter County police officers, and they, in times when the Sumter County guys are busy, they may come up and help them out, and vice versa. They go back and forth. It's just an additional agency to kind of alleviate some of the need for maybe the sheriff's department to have police in that area. So
okay.
they're Sumter County, Marion County, Lake County. Like Lake County also has Lady Lake PD. It's still under the Lake County Sheriff, but it's their individual department.
Okay.
So, but it's still, they're all police. They all,
Okay.
I wouldn't want to mess with any of them.
No,
I would
they
still
look
be.
a little
Yeah,
serious.
they definitely, they are definitely serious, and they try to keep everybody safe here, and that's the beauty about
Yeah,
living here in this area is, we do feel pretty safe,
I
and part
do.
of that I think is because of our police departments and our fire departments and
Yeah.
the first responders, because everybody is great. You know, everybody responds pretty quickly when it's a serious emergency. So yeah, we're pretty fortunate here that we're not waiting a long time for those services because there
Right.
are other areas that do. So
Um,
the community watch, they're
yeah, I was gonna
more
say
yeah.
circling back to community
So
watch.
community watch is more of a local thing. They definitely they drive around in the neighborhoods and they take a look at make sure that you didn't leave your garage door open or something's not awry. The newspapers aren't piling up on the front lawn, and usually if they see that, they will call the police department and say, "Hey, we're noticed that there's a lot of newspapers on the front lawn or the grass hasn't been cut," and they'll maybe send the police out as a wellness check
Hmm.
to check on it. And I mean, not to, we had another one where a guy left his garage door open, and we showed up, and he again laying on the floor for 4 days.
Oh,
It's thank God the community watch was doing their job because
right.
they saved this guy pretty much. So
Um, so community watch does have. I know you're not part of community watch, but I
mhm.
looked up on their thing. They have a few different programs. One is the home check, that's available to residents if you're away for 7 days or more. And this you do pay for. It's $6.42 a week,
Oh
but they'll
wow.
come and check the perimeter of your home 3 times a week broken window, doors ajar,
Right.
window ajar.
Yeah. I mean, again, we're pretty fortunate that we don't have a lot of crime and things like that. But, people are, people snowbird. People
Right.
leave their houses for months at a time. So, that's
I think
a
that's good
relatively,
especially for that price.
yeah, a relatively inexpensive thing. I mean, but most people, have their neighbors too, which is another good thing here in the villages. The neighbors, a lot of neighbors take care of their neighbors, and that's
Right.
amazing. I truly believe that that's an amazing thing that goes on here. And being from New York, like as well as I do,
I don't want to get involved.
yeah, I don't want to get involved. People don't want to look at you. Like there were people on the street that I grew up on that I had no idea what their names were. But here in the villages, it's a lot different. Everybody kind of looks out for everybody. So yes, that is a service if you don't want to get your neighbors involved. But
I think it's also good though because maybe your neighbors are away,
right, if
or
they're busy and
yeah.
they're not paying attention and there's a broken window, I mean,
right. They look for
storms
the
happen.
papers piling up
Right.
and mail or
Yeah.
packages. The other thing they have, which I think is really good, and it's a free service, is the Adult Watch Program.
Mhm.
And so, again, in an aging community, maybe you've lost your spouse or you're single, you're just single.
Right.
If you live alone, you can choose a time and how many times a week they'll call. Like you have to register for it,
Oh wow.
and they will call you. And if someone from Community Watch or a volunteer will call you, and if you don't answer, they'll wait 5 minutes and try you again. And if there's no answer again, they will have a patrol call sent, and they'll also have the hospitals
Right.
checked. So I think that's a great,
See that
just to have.
Yeah, that I didn't know they
See,
did
I know
that.
something new,
See,
though.
that's great. That's why
And
we're
here's
doing this.
another one that I told you about. You didn't know.
I did not know that.
This is also Community Watch. I went to Resident Academy, which I recommend to everybody because they tell you they have people from different different departments come in and talk about what each department in the villages does,
Right.
which is really informative.
Yeah.
And then Community Watch came and they gave these badge, and it's called Chirp. But it's Community Help Initiative Response Program, and basically it's a whistle. So they're just saying that you use three loud short blasts. I won't. Should I do it? But you do it, and that people will hear a whistle.
Right.
And so
well, people also, some
and I
people
keep it in my golf cart.
May not be able to yell or something, and that's just a way of kind of another means of signaling somebody. Yeah, these are all great things that, I mean, again, people, unless you go out and kind of look for this stuff, you're not going to know. But there is so much stuff out there and available to everybody. All of the police departments, the fire departments,
if you look on their websites,
they have tons of information, tons and tons and tons of information.
I was also going to add, because I live in Sumter County, they have an app. And so there's one with like traffic alert or whatever that you can sign up, and I like that.
Yeah.
And then they also have a few other programs. They have one that's like the Adult Watch program. I think theirs is called Peace of Mind, and that's that you call. I think you sign up for it, and it's that you call whatever day or every day at 12 o'clock or 2 o'clock, and if they don't hear from you, then they do some sort of protocol.
Yeah.
Which is good. And then they have all kinds of other programs, like if you have certain disabilities, that you can identify yourself with decals, like in your car.
We were talking about that the other day. Somebody that may be hearing impaired. If a police officer pulls you over and doesn't know that you're hearing impaired, he may get frustrated, and we've all seen the videos, and people not listening to what the police are saying. And I recommend, if they say please get out of the car, that you get out of the car.
Right.
But
if you have a decal, at least they
at least they know now
something.
that you're hearing impaired or in some way, shape, or form impaired. Have some type of handicap. Not that you want to advertise to everybody, but again, it's something that can definitely help you. In those types of emergencies.
And one other thing I mentioned yesterday, I saw this on, I found it fascinating, was the human scent preservation. God forbid I get kidnapped.
See, and you know, I
But it
mean,
keeps
this was
your
something
scent.
I didn't know. I was like, man, I was like, you know, someone could just take one of my dirty T-shirts and you know, I didn't know that they'll collect it. Jeez, you know,
But
that's
it says they keep your it'll hold the kit will hold your human scent for 7 years and DNA for 6 months.
wow.
But I just was like fascinated that was even offering. But the other point being is I just looked on Sumter
Right.
County Sheriff's Department, their website,
Yeah.
and it was program after program after program
Yeah.
after program.
I mean,
A lot
there's
of things.
and all of it, most of all of these programs that they list are all free. You just have
Mhm.
to prove that you live in that county, and they will do, you know, they will do that kind of stuff for free for you and give you all the information you need. You know, there's all nine, you know, in an emergency, you're going to call 911. If you have questions, if you want to find out about these programs, there's all non-emergent numbers you can call. You just have to look them up, you know, Google them, or, you know, go on to a lot of the police departments, fire departments all have Facebook pages, and they'll have tons of information on there. So I would recommend doing that too. Subscribe to them because there may be something going on in your neighborhood that you see and you may want to know, and um, they may post it on their Facebook
Yeah.
page.
The other thing was on Sumter they had a community crime map, so you can look and see where they list what the crime. Maybe I don't want to know,
Yeah, I don't
but
know,
at
but
least you see was there
yeah,
shoplifting or was
right,
there assault or
yeah,
there's not that much, but it's interesting, and you can
yeah,
also get it on the app. But I guess it's good to know, and I'm sure there are other things where people look for all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
But
There's tons, like I said, and what we're discussing now,
mm-hmm,
all of this information that we're talking about is available online.
mm-hmm,
It's you know, we talked about this earlier. When should you call 911 and that kind of stuff? You know what? If you have to think, wow, maybe I need the fire department, the police department, just call. Just please call. I'd rather deal with somebody that called and they don't need us than somebody that truly needs us and doesn't call.
yeah,
You know, and believe it or not, that does happen a lot. And it's we try and encourage people. Why are you waiting this long? You know, please
do
don't
you
wait.
think well, this
Please
would
don't
be to
wait.
your
It's
personal opinion, because when my dad was sick and would fall down, I think they called 911 so many times to come. My mom did, to come and pick him up because she couldn't pick him up
mhm.
to go wherever. And then after who knows how many, I think they start to charge you, and maybe people are afraid of the
Yeah.
cost.
They so here in this area, there's no cost associated with coming and helping you up off the floor. Um, I don't know about other areas. I can't speak to that. I do know in this area that
Well,
there
I think
is,
it was if they took him away in an ambulance. But
yeah, there's always going to be, if you get transported by the fire department, there's always a fee that's associated with that. But usually it's covered under your medical insurance and stuff. Um, but yeah, if you fall and you can't get up, call the fire department. They will definitely come out and they will help you up off the floor. And again, if you have to question whether or not you need to call 911, chances are call 911.
mm-hmm.
You know, if you're sick, don't wait 2 days. The problem that we have in this area is people, oh, I thought I would get better. Okay, that's great when you're 20 years old. 70, 80, 90 with a lot of medical problems, you're not going to get better. You're only going to get worse. And you're going to be that much further behind the eight ball of how we have to treat you and care for you moving forward because you waited 3 days. Where if you would have called when this started, it may have been an ER visit and a discharge home. Now you're looking at a longer hospital stay because you didn't want to call and you didn't want to. So I always tell people, please don't wait. If you're sick and you can't get up and you can't function normally, call 911, have someone bring you to the hospital if you don't want to bother the fire department, but just get the help that you need. Don't wait. Just that's something that we see so much, that people wait too long and then they're 10 times sicker by the time we get to them, and it's
Yeah.
so much harder to take care of them. And it could really be life ending, unfortunately.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So
I think one of the bigger takeaways is the smartphone, smart technology. Be
right,
aware of what it is. If you're
right,
not sure, ask your children, your grandchildren.
Yeah,
They probably know better.
They probably know how
Like
to
to help
do
you set it up.
everything. The other thing too is I know YouTube and things like that. If people aren't savvy with their phones, but people use YouTube, and there's also there, you know, they can go to the different agencies and see if they have programs that they'll come and they'll do that kind of stuff for you. So I'm not saying that there are, I don't know, but YouTube,
ask.
yeah, YouTube. There's tons of videos on YouTube. I know Amazon with their Alexa and stuff like that. There are tons of videos on how to use that thing and how to make it perform and do different things that you wouldn't believe. So, you know, I'm always amazed that when I see, when I see some of the stuff that it'll do.
Okay.
So yeah, just look it up. It's out there and it's available.
Okay.
So, you know.
Well, thank you for all your tips and tricks.
Yep. Absolutely. It's just I am very passionate about my job, and I love helping people, and I want to see everybody enjoy their retirement and live as long as they can and enjoy it and spend their kids' inheritance as much as they can. So
I like
yeah,
that one
so
too.
yeah, so this is just a little something. If you learn something, great. If not, maybe, you know, somebody you can tell to watch the video and maybe they'll learn something about it. So, but yeah, it's just always a good thing. Everybody needs a little help now and then, so it's definitely not a bad thing to have a little bit extra information.
Thank you. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps us a lot.
That's right.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.